I absolutely love A$AP Rocky. I love his music, I love his fashion, and I love those motivational quotes that'll pop up on my Instagram timeline every so often, okay? This man is perfect to me. All homo, by the way. But unfortunately, for the last 6 years, he's been stringing fans along with the supposed release of a new album. That album being called Don't Be Dumb. And with Rocky's trial for an alleged assault case having him face 24 years in prison coming underway, it's looking like we may never see this new album. But in order to understand the chaotic situation that we find ourselves in today, it's important to go back and retrace our steps. In 2019, 1 year after A$AP Rocky would drop his album Testing, fans would start to speculate when his next album would drop. And on June 14, 2019, speculation would begin to boil once Rocky would confirm during an interview with Kerwin Frost that he'll do another interview with him once his new album drops.
Part 2, you gotta interview me by myself. When I'm about to put my album out, we gotta do it.
This would lead fans on January 1st, 2020 to notice a clearance in A$AP Rocky's Instagram, coincidentally right before the announcement of the next Kerwin interview. And on June 5th, 2020, the interview would finally drop, and there'd be no mention of a new album. Wait, what the fuck is All Smiles? Oh yeah, that's right. During the 2020 to 2022 era, fans would speculate on what his new album may be called, and the fan base landed on All Smiles. This would then be flipped on its head just 9 months after the second Kerwin interview, when Rocky and a few other members of the A$AP mob would start posting Grim everywhere. No one knew exactly what it meant. Not only that, but it's a bit contradictory since the supposed title is All Smiles. Grim is literally the opposite of that. But the speculation would eventually end once Rocky would drop his song Grim Freestyle on Instagram on December 26, 2020. It was shortly deleted, but it led fans into believing that maybe Grim was the title for the next album. We wouldn't get a lot of information on All Smiles / Grim until A$AP Rocky's GQ interview in May of 2021, where he would officially announce that the album was 90% complete. He would also announce that Morrissey, the lead singer of The Smiths, was helping him write, produce, and even featuring on some of the songs. Rocky would then go on to claim that the album is centered around the concept of a ghetto love story, and he boasts about this album being a lot more polished than his at the time recent release Testing. Alright, I know that was a lot. We just started the fucking video and things have already gotten confusing. So far in this story, Rocky hasn't been very communicative about what's been going on. Fans are confused on what the album is actually gonna be called, and I'm sure we're all wondering what the fuck is an indie rock track with Rocky gonna sound like. But confusion aside, Rocky did make one thing clear. He literally said that the album was about 90% complete. That's fucking amazing. Hopefully we won't be waiting that long to get some answers to these questions. Come on. You already know how these videos go. We wouldn't get any new music until an exact year after this interview dropped, when Rocky would release his track DMB. And at the time, this looked pretty accurate to how it was described in the concept. But in the biggest twist of events, it seemed like this concept wasn't actually called All Smiles after all. Because just 25 days after this song would drop, Rocky would clarify in a Dazed magazine that the album was literally never called All Smiles. But what the fans deemed as All Smiles was merely just a concept. For now though, he's been wrapping up his new album, shooting visuals, and really pushing his limits when it comes to his sound. Okay, I thought we were wrapping up the album about a year ago. Okay, whatever. Great news. Except when you realize that the album did not release in 2022. Obviously, we wouldn't be making this video had it released. Instead, Rocky opted throughout the year to preview songs at any festivals he happened to be performing at. Songs like the Grim Freestyle, as we mentioned earlier, and a few other singles. But the ones that'll become important for later are Riot and Taylor Swift, as these songs out of the handful performed would actually see a release. But before we get ahead of ourselves, in September of 2022, Rocky would also drop a song exclusively on Instagram featuring Playboi Carti called Our Destiny. And just a month later, the legendary clip of Rocky being pulled into the crowd at Rolling Loud would go viral. Rocky would then later comment on this situation that he looked like that due to some bitch squeezing the life out of his balls. Tyler would even go out of his way to make that his profile picture on Instagram, and even got a little cake for him with his face on it. This event would actually be directly referenced in the Shitting Me music video, which was a new song he dropped on December 2nd, 2022. This song on Twitter was advertised as his leading single, but apparently was revealed to not actually be the lead single, and just a throwaway for the recent Need for Speed game at the time. Regardless though, it was pretty cool to see this song finally released, as this was actually previewed years prior at his Camp Flognaw set back in 2018. Rocky would then reiterate that you shouldn't expect to see it on the next album. But he would go on to further hype it by saying, "I've been working on this album for so long. It's an extension of my heart, my blood, sweat, and tears. I just hope those who give a crap about what I do get to digest it." And then in an interview with Complex at the time, he would once again announce that they were still wrapping up the album, and said that his Rolling Loud performance a few months back would be the last performance until the album was out. We were told the process was being wrapped in 2021. We are on the cusp of 2023. What the fuck does wrapping wrapping up the album. Even me. Hey, shut the fuck up, Wist. December 8th, 2022. Write that shit down.
My first time back on the stage. Album's finished. Don't be dumb. Let's go.
Rocky just announced the actual name of the album. It's called Don't Be Dumb. Okay. We have a name. And he said the album's finished. Bad. And after announcing the album name on Thursday Night Football, Rocky would have a show later that night with Amazon Music where he would preview the track Same Problem. This song would act as a tribute for the many hip-hop legends who've passed away from the many issues that plague our genre. And just a month after previewing this track, Rocky would drop the song on all platforms on January 8th, 2023, also known as Yams Day. Yams Day being the anniversary death date of the late ASAP member ASAP Yams. Every year on this day, a memorial concert is held in commemoration of the fallen member. And after this, Rocky would essentially disappear for another 6 months until July 20th, 2023, when he would drop another single titled Riot. Remember how I highlighted that song earlier? Yup, the song's finally out. And to make matters even better, a few days later, we would finally get an explanation on why this album faced so many delays. Remember that track I mentioned earlier with Playboi Carti called Our Destiny? Well, the reason that track forever stayed on Instagram was due to leaks. They just kept leaking it, so we just said, fuck it, put it out on Instagram. I'm a perfectionist, and I don't care. I move to the beat of my own drum. If they leak something and we have to go back to the drawing board, however long it takes is however long it takes. And in the same interview, he'd also confirm a list of producers that'll be helping him, with names like Tyler the Creator, The Alchemist, and Mike Dean being present. And then at Rolling Loud Miami, he'd be back to previewing unreleased tracks. And it really started to feel like we'd see the album released sometime soon. And at the time, it didn't seem that far from the truth, because on August 1st, Rocky would tweet out August. This was in reference to August 2017, when Rocky's label dropped a new website, some new videos, and music releases from all the ASAP Mob members, including Playboi Carti, who was affiliated with them at the time. But just 3 days later, Rihanna and Rocky would welcome their second child together, and Rocky would seemingly go dark. How dare he raise them kids and be a proper father? How fucking dare he? And we wouldn't hear from him again until October 2023, where he would seemingly call Don't Be Dumb his best work yet. Now, we're back to square one. This is like his 5th time saying that. 6 years of this bullshit. This actually might be worse than the I Am Music rollout. And no, before you ask, he didn't release any music for the rest of the year. But listen, okay, I can't be mad because he's out there being a good fourther, as Fabio Foreign would put it.
Sitting, pooping.
So he gets a pass. Low key, I also understand why fans would be frustrated, especially after the many broken promises we've gone through in this video. And unfortunately, 2024 would be no different. The only clarification we'd finally get this year was the meaning of grim. You know, the slang he used 4 fucking years ago. Apparently, it's a term that describes a combination of German expressionism and ghetto futurism. I'm not gonna lie, that's fucking awesome. He also popped out on We Still Don't Trust You by
Future and Metro's booming
to throw shots at Drake during the Drake and Kendrick beef.
Fuck keeping this shit hip hop. Wanna see a fuck nigga bleed out.
I'm not gonna lie, I know this is gonna piss a few people off when I say this, but Drake's response to Rocky on Family Matters perfectly described the state of his career at the time. Because at this point in his career, he was known more as Rihanna's boyfriend, more than he was known as his own fucking person. But then, on June 21st, 2024, during Paris Fashion Week, ASAP Rocky would present his collection, American Sabotage. And at the show, he revealed that the album would finally drop on August 30th, 2024! Not only would he preview a couple of tracks that were anticipated to be on the album, but the end screen of the stream would reveal a pre-order link to the album! The album was fucking real!
Oh, the album is done.
The vinyl is literally sitting right there! And then on August 2nd, 2024, we would finally see the lead single of the album release called Hijack. This song would end up charting higher than any of his other previous singles. Okay. Things are looking good. Then on August 29th, 2024, Rocky would announce that he'd finally drop his long-anticipated leaked song, Taylor Swift. You know, remember, it's the song that I highlighted right next to Riot earlier in this video. As we stated before, the song and video leaked years ago, so having this song drop was very surprising. But wait, what does that release date say? Let me just take a closer look at that one. Does that say August 30th? Wasn't the album supposed to come out by then? Well, ladies and gentlemen, just as things started to look up, a wise man once said, if it's too good to be true, it probably fucking is. Just a week before the album was supposed to drop, it was announced in a Billboard article that the album was being delayed until fall of 2024. 2024. Rocky would then clarify in a tweet that same day this article dropped that leaks and sample clearances were the main disruption for the album. Rocky would then go on a Twitter replying spree, replying to all sorts of questions and inquiries from the hip-hop Twitter community. And honestly, it was really nice to actually finally get some transparency from him, because unfortunately that would be the last time we get any good news on this album. Because on November 2nd, 2024, it would be reported that the Don't Be Dumb vinyls were apparently being refunded. And on December 10th, news would break of an email stating that the release date had been rescheduled to early 2025. But what else was scheduled for early 2025? Remember that court date that I mentioned all the way back in the beginning of the video? You know, the one where Rocky is facing 24 years in prison. Well, with the information that we have so far, the story goes like this. Due to A$AP Rocky being the most successful member of the A$AP mob, a lot of pressure came from A$AP Relly for Rocky to cover the cost to transport A$AP Josh's body back to New York when he died on October 16, 2021. And Relly felt some kind of way when he found out that Rocky didn't help. So Relly texted him saying, "You so fucking fake, it's sad. Don't ever forget who introduced you to this life. When I was at my lowest, you looked at me like I was a piece of shit." And then just a month later, while Relly was in the car with Bari, Rocky would actually call Bari and ask him to pull up to his Complex Con performance. Bari would then refuse his offer, which would then domino into Rocky stating, "Fuck that nigga Relly," during the call. This would then lead Relly to text one of Rocky's friends, calling him an obscenity. Then, on November 6, 2021, Rocky would call up Relly and ask him where he was staying at. Relly would then tell Rocky where he was because he believed they were finally going to be able to put their beef aside. I mean, who wouldn't in this scenario? Don't forget, these guys have known each other since high school. This bond is deeper than rap. Well, as Relly alleges, as soon as Relly approached Rocky, Rocky would immediately start getting aggressive, with A$AP Ills and 12V backing him up. This is when Relly claimed Rocky pulled out a handgun and pressed it to multiple parts of his body. A couple bystanders walking by would lead Rocky and the other two members to walk away. Relly would then testify that he shouted back in retaliation and attempted to follow Rocky and the other members. That's when he claimed that Rocky turned around and shot him, with the only alleged reported injury being a grazing of his hand. Relly would also testify that he grabbed Ills and used him as a human shield. What the fuck? Rocky would then deny ever shooting at Relly in text messages after the incident, with him accusing Relly of extortion. And the craziest part about this whole thing is that remember how all of this started because Relly didn't think that Rocky paid for Josh's funeral arrangements? Well, turns out he actually did. So in Rocky's eyes, Relly attacked him personally for no good reason. So now with this information, there's a lot of confusing things going on here, but this is still an ongoing trial, so unfortunately a lot of stuff is in the air. Right now though, he's been charged with 2 counts of assault with a firearm and has recently denied a 6-month bid, which would have only gotten him 3 years of probation. This news has obviously split the internet, with some saying that he's dumb, with others saying that the lawyers obviously have this case in the bag. Me personally, I'm not gonna be one of those internet detectives and act like I know a fucking lick of how the law works, but circling all this back to music, this could be the ultimate turning point for the rollout. We've been strung along for 6 years, and to have it end with Rocky going to prison for 24 years would absolutely be insane. Not only that, but he has a wife and kids at home that he's been providing for. If things were to turn for the worst, this would probably be the saddest example of an artist going to jail. I'm hoping that Rocky is able to walk free, because Relly is a fucking idiot. How do you text your friend on some bullshit without asking them for clarification first? I had this same type of miscommunication happen to me a couple years back, and it was the most heartbreaking shit ever. So yeah, I'm gonna be biased with this one. Free my nigga Rocky! And I wish I could end this video on a lighter, more solid note, but unfortunately, just like the I Am Music rollout, this timeline is still fucking going. It might just be the most confusing album rollout of all time. And before this video ends, I'd like to give a thanks to some of our recent channel members: Shorty, Risklow, Intelligent, LaFlame, Mr. Resident Fox, Baywee876, XYX, and Cryspin. Your support means everything. And if any of you are interested in supporting the channel further, you can click the join button next to my name and become a member today. I'm gonna go stream shitting me for the next 48 hours.
Blast, get messed up. We finna pack door to low pro. Switches ARP, crash, I shake you, switch cheeses. Psychopath, that nigga, get a boner every time I gun blow.